Hey everybody, welcome back to the Discovery Loft. Today I am going through my 6-step process for becoming truthfully honest with myself, and I'm going to reveal the 2 tools that I use to keep track of these thoughts to where I can actually continue to mine my own consciousness and become truthfully honest with myself over time. I've been doing this for about 2 years, and this is what I found to be effective for myself. So the first tool I use is an AI. I use ChatGPT personally, but you can use any AI. I'm not familiar with them all, but I just personally chose ChatGPT. There's a free version, which I love that. You can get started on this right now at no cost. And the reason I use AI is because when I journal, I like to see the patterns and the reflections back to myself. So when I am going through an episode, if I want to call it that, or I'm having a thought, or I'm trying to really get through to the truth of what's happening here through my own traumas and my triggers and the other person's trauma and triggers, or maybe it's a bunch of people and you're trying to figure out what's the baseline here, what's the truth. So when I journal or I reflect or I talk to text into that, I can ask the AI to give me the reflection of what's the pattern, what's the rhythm here, what's the common denominator. And it's absolutely crucial for you to be able to see your own patterns, which is why I choose to use AI in my journaling and not just write it down. It's not as easy to read back through and pick through it, but if you choose, you want to just start in the journaling process. I've been there too. I have hundreds of journal entries that I don't feel like I got as much of an effective response on from like I do when I use AI. So that's the first step. The first tool. The second tool is going to be Notion. This is like a project management marketing tool, so don't let that overwhelm you. I'm actually using it to trace my own consciousness and to log all of these different incidents that I have and create data reports so that I can look back through it for 2 reasons. 1, I want to be able to see where I'm coming from and how much I've grown. And also 2, I have had a habit of not relying on my own, not trusting my own thoughts because of different relationships and situations and patterns I was in. So when I was able to document it and recall it, I could then start trusting my own thoughts and my patterns. So that was twofold for me. So in Notion, what you can do is you can just start putting different files in there, and there is an AI in there to help you organize your thoughts. You can tag them if you'd like. But I use AI along with Notion to have the reflection, then to document the reflection so that I can go back to them in an organized fashion. Because truthfully, thoughts are very fleeting. And I've never quite understood that until I realized how much you're able to play with your thought when it's down on paper. Once you get it down, it makes it easy to tear apart. You know, I put a post out last night and I asked my husband if he read it. He said, yeah. And I said, did you like it? And he said, yeah. And it's the 6-step process. It was the intro to it. This is the video version. And I said, well, do you think you want to do it? And he said, no, I don't. And I said, well, why? He said, no, it's interesting. I definitely think I want to think about my thoughts more. And I do feel like that's the first step. And I'm totally comfortable with that because the first step is, why am I thinking this? Noticing that you're thinking this. There has been so many times I have tuned in from just somewhere else and realized, like, why am I thinking about this? Not what am I thinking? Why am I thinking it? So anyways, he did not say that he wanted to jump right in. So maybe that's where you're at and you're not quite sure about this whole thing, but you're going to start thinking about your thoughts. But the next step, when you get it into the AI or writing it in a journal or into your Notion documents, it's where it starts to live and become alive. And once it's on paper, you can start pulling it apart. You can see what's there. It's an actual thing now. It's not this thought that's fleeting and you can't catch it. You can rearrange it. You can mess with it. You can flip it on its head. You can turn it. And you can say, what am I really looking at here? Do I really believe any of that? Where did that belief come from? Why am I thinking that right now? And that to me is power and how I actually made this way towards carving out my 6-step process. So let's dive in.